Welcome back to another video of our Scary US States. I'm your host Andrew, and here are your top 10 Indiana scary urban legends. At the number 10 spot, we have the 100-Step Cemetery. The 100-Step Cemetery is located in a town of Brazil, India. Remember, I said town, not the country. The cemetery gets its name from the long, infamous staircase that lies right in the middle of it, and there are two versions of the legend about the staircase. One legend says that once you reach the 100th step, or the last step, the ghost of a past cemetery caretaker will appear right in front of you and whisper out the time and way you will pass away. However, once he says this, you must climb back down all the stairs, and if you don't count back to 100, the caretaker will take your life on the spot. The other version of this story is that when you go back down these steps, if the number you count is different than the number you walked up with, then your prophecy is false. Much of the stairs are overgrown with vegetation, so counting the stairs is much harder. And more recently, the cemetery even tried to tear out parts of the stairs. Are they trying to physically remove the urban legend from this place? I mean, a free fortune teller? Who wouldn't want that? At a number 9 spot, we have the Green Clawed Beast. Supposedly lurking in the Ohio River near Evansville, Indiana, is a green-clawed beast that has haunted residents since the 1950s. In the hot summer of 1955, Naomi Johnson, her 3 children, and their family friend Luis Lambo went for a swim in the Ohio River. When Naomi was about 15 feet away from the shore, that's when she began to arch her back when all of a sudden something wrapped around her knee, pulling her down as well. She immediately started to swim back to shore, kicking whatever hit her in the process. After she was swimming away, she felt her leg get grabbed again from behind, but she was able to grab an inner tube that they were using as a float to get away. The odd thing about this incident was that when she was getting treated for her scratches, the authorities recalled a strange bluish green stain that was on her lower leg at the time. Then, a short time after this, a man arrived at Naomi's door with physical evidence showing that he was an Air Force colonel, and he told her to never speak of the incident ever again. Ever since, there has been no sighting of this supposed creature, so much of it is unknown if this creature really truly exists today. But what do you guys think grabbed Naomi in the water that day? At number 8 spot, we have Diana of the Dunes. It's said that if you walk along the shores of Indiana Dunes National Park, you may see a pale naked woman swimming or running around near the waters of Lake Michigan. However, don't be deceived, because what you may be seeing is a ghost of a lady who used to do the same thing back in the early 1900s. The real woman's name was Alice Mabel Gray, and she lived as a hermit in a driftwood shack along the shore. However, she wasn't always like this. She earned a bachelor's degree from the University of Chicago in 1903, but as years went by, she found that the city life and the working life made her more depressed each and every single day. She then decided to escape everything, and ever since, she's been known as the Diana of the Dunes. Her spirit is not so friendly. It's said that if you get too close to the naked woman, then she may drag you down into the water with her. This is because in her years alive, Alice ended up falling in love with an abusive man named Paul Wilson. So when Alice gave birth to her second child, she ended up passing away from uremic poisoning, which was due to repeated punches to her abdomen. Ever since this incident, her spirit has been nothing but aggressive to young men. At a number 7 spot, we have Devil's Road. The name Devil's Road should give you all the warnings you need before you decide to take a drive down this road. In Jasper, Indiana, there was a school bus full of kids that stalled in the middle of these train tracks. The moment the bus stalled, the kids couldn't help but notice a train coming straight towards them. However, before they could even think to escape, the train ended up smashing right through the bus, with all the children passing away immediately, and the only survivor being the bus driver. However, when the bus driver noticed there was no survivors, he was so distraught, he decided to take his own life using a firearm. Nowadays, people claim that the spirits of the children remain on the road. Some have tested their luck by stopping their car on the train tracks and dropping it into neutral, and this is when you supposedly begin to see children walking towards you, or if someone said their car completely stalls on this railroad. Regardless, I wouldn't recommend doing this because you're just putting yourself in that same position the school bus was in that day. At a number 6 spot, with the Culbertson Mansion. Stored away in New Albany, Indiana, is the Culbertson Mansion. Out of all the mansions I've mentioned, this has to be one of the most gruesome yet unfortunate histories attached to it. In the 1800s, this mansion was struck by lightning, and everyone who was inside of the home passed away from the fire that engulfed the entire place. Then in 1933, the mansion was sold to a local named Dr. Webb and his family. But after a year of living in here, they were all found dead. All their bodies showed evidence of being tortured, yet the case never ended up getting solved. As well, later on it was found that the doctor kept some of his patients locked in the basement. Nowadays, the house offers many haunted tours, but staff members still report things they can't explain, and more specifically in the basement where all the horrific events took place. In the hub of our list, we have the Edna Collins Bridge. Out of all the bridges in Putnam County, the Edna Collins Covered Bridge is the most recent. However, despite not being the oldest, it's still believed to be the most haunted out of all of them. Locals claim that the bridge is haunted by a mother and child duo. Legend goes that a little girl by the name of Edna Collins lived in the area nearby and would occasionally swim in Little Walnut Creek, which is the creek the bridge now resides over. Her parents had a tradition of dropping her off on their way to town, and when they returned, they would honk 3 times to let her know that it was time to go. However, one day after they honked 3 times, Edna was nowhere to be found. Instead, they searched the nearby creek and they found that she had drowned in it. It's said that shortly after, the mother took her own life and hung herself on the trees where the bridge is located today. And ever since, this bridge has been haunted by this mother and child duo. At number 4 spot, we have the Whitcomb's Library. Before his death in 1852, former Indiana Governor James Whitcomb donated his entire library to Ashbury University, which is now known as DePauw University. This library was filled with all the books that he read in his entire lifetime. This collection included one book named The Poems of Ossian, the Son of Fingal, which was locked away in a specific section of the library which was closed to the public. One small boy grew more and more curious about the book, and then one day in the 1800s, he decided to sneak into the library and steal the book for himself. However, after he finished the book, he woke up to a spectral finger pointing at him, asking who stole the book. Ever since, many believed it was Whitcomb's ghost protecting his books, and no one has ever tried to steal a book since. To this day, there are still occasional sightings of his ghost, but as long as no one is stealing his books, then he shouldn't do anything aggressive. At a number 3 spot, we have St. Mary of the Woods College. St. Mary of the Woods College was opened in 1840 and is the oldest Catholic college in the entire state. The Leffer and Foley buildings on the campus have had many reports of something supernatural lurking inside of them. Some have said they have been grabbed by invisible forces, and there are stories of an exorcism done in the Foley building. However, the most notorious spirit found at the college is the Faceless Nun. Legend goes that the Faceless Nun is the ghost of a sister nun who used to teach in the art department at the campus. It was there where she began a self-portrait but passed away from an illness just before finishing it. However, the section has been destroyed and now it seems that her spirit is found everywhere on campus. When people spot her, they are usually stunned and even freeze in terror. At a number 2 spot with the Pugwaji. The Pugwaji is a 2 to 3 feet tall creature that lurks in swamps and dense forests. He physically resembles a troll or sort of a goblin, and one of their active spots happens to be in Mound State Park in Anderson, Indiana. Author and archaeologist Paul Startzman claimed to have encountered one of these creatures back in 1927. He claimed to be walking alone in the park when he noticed a little man half his size with abnormally large ears, gray skin, and a mushroom cut. They are not known to attack humans, but are instead known to be great deceivers and tricksters. However, other iterations of the creature say the complete opposite, telling how these creatures are indeed bloodthirsty and need small gifts and sacrifices in order to appease them. One telltale sign you'll know that they're near is from their high-pitched gremlin-like laugh. So you can only imagine the feeling you'd get walking here at night when all of a sudden you hear the Green Goblin. At a number 1 spot, we have the Zion United Church of Christ Cemetery. Potentially the most haunted cemetery in the entire state of Indiana, the Zion United Church of Christ Cemetery is supposedly a hotspot for anyone looking to see something supernatural. Located in Poland, Indiana, this cemetery has gravestones dating back all the way since the 1840s, and the amount of reports coming from this cemetery is enough to make anyone believe there's something sinister inside of it. The ghost that many locals see is the one that walks outside of the cemetery, warning people not to enter the cursed grounds. Some have said the ghost tells them to turn back, and those who have been unfortunate enough to be inside of the cemetery report unexplained sounds and lights and the constant feeling that they're being watched the entire time they're there. Well, these are the top 10 Indiana scary urban legends. What do you guys think about this list? Leave a comment down below with your thoughts and some suggestions for our next videos. I'm your host Andrew, and I hope you guys have a scary day.